Hi everyone, it's Mary with Mary's Stamping Cafe. Thanks so much for stopping in at my Stamping Saturday uploaded video. This is a recorded video and it is April 1st. Happy spring everyone. Even though it doesn't quite feel like spring yet for me and many of you, it'll be coming soon and I am going to keep it positive and give you those springtime vibes with that beautiful Wisteria Wishes Bundle. Now, thank you so much if you're a subscriber returning and watching. Appreciate you so much. If you're not a subscriber and this is your first time, welcome. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and bell so you don't miss out on any of my stamping videos and giveaways. Well, this is a beautiful Distinktive stamp set. Distinktive is a branded item that Stampin' Up! Has designed in the past few years, and what it means is that you will have these beautiful images, generally florals and things, just outdoor nature kind of things, and you will see that they have all of the shadows, all of the depths of color are made within the stamp. So special technique of the way that they etch and scrape that photopolymer or cling, that you will get these beautifully shaded, realistic stamps. So I know I love distinctive stamps, and some people have a difficult time using them. They tend to think that, oh, it never comes out looking like it's supposed to. I don't see all of those levels that you're talking about. But let me show you how to use a distinctive stamp set. And then I'm going to take all of that away because I want to do some watercolor technique today. And I'm going to use the distinctive stamp set to do watercoloring. What? Yes, that's what I'm going to be doing. It does work, but you have to be a little careful. So what happens, I want to start with the flower first. What happens with distinctive stamping that frustrates people and gives a hard time is that two things happen. Usually the person will ink up too much ink on the stamp. Now, Stampin' Up! Ink pads are quite juicy. This is a newer stamp pad, so it's really juicy. So you want to just lightly ink or walk your stamp along the pad because you are getting plenty of ink, plenty of ink. And because the distinctive stamps have so much detail at the surface of the photopolymer or the cling, you can get way too much ink. The second thing that happens is people, and I'm going to just stamp down, people will push down really hard because that's just what we've learned in our stampings, that we push really hard. And then what I end up is kind of with a blobby looking stamped image. So you want to lightly stamp, and this particular branch that I'm using, or wisteria, doesn't have too much of the distinctiveness in it. It's more so the stems of this, and then I am just almost laying this stamp down on my mat. I'm not giving hardly any pressure. And now I've got much more of that distinctiveness. I don't know if you can quite tell. These are very, very deeply one color basically. They all have that Orchid Oasis flat look. But now when I look at this one, I have some distinctiveness coming out. Lighter bits here, lighter bits there, lighter bits and darker bits. And now I'm seeing that distinctiveness. Not sure if you can see that real well at all. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you with the green stem. I'm going to go ahead and ink this parakeet party up really, really good, because we do that. And then I'm going to stamp down like I always do, really hard. And, oh, pretty good. Like it, like it. And you see the distinctiveness at all? I see a little bit there and there. So I'm going to ink this up again. This time I'm going to be a little bit lighter of touch, and then I'm going to come and be a little lighter of touch right here. Barely giving much pressure. And oh wow, that comes up so much nicer. So, I don't know if you can tell, but this is all very dark, and I do see a little difference right there, Little difference right there, but it's all quite dark. But now when I come over here, I see so many more areas of that distinctiveness where I've got the light, that sun coming through right here, all through this area. You can see how the artist designed where that sun would be coming through, and all of those little stem leaves touched by that. So much more detailed and distinctive. Beautiful. So when you are using your distinctive stamps, there's two things to remember. The ink is already on your stamp pad at the top. Stampin' Up! Designs their stamp pads in a way that when they're stored, you can see you flip the top, that the ink is always at the top of the pad. So when you open it, you don't need to do a lot of pressing. So just lightly inking. And then the second thing to remember in distinctive stamping, because you want all of those layers of light coming through, is a light touch when you are stamping onto your mat. You get those distinctive layers happening beautifully. Okay, now, enough of that. I want to talk about watercoloring today because I just feel like this Wisteria Wishes, you know, sometimes when it's a hot, steamy afternoon, I don't know why, suddenly I got into summer and hot steaminess, but you just have that where it's kind of smoky or something, and you look out and I could see my little wisterias, and it just seems like, oh, they're kind of watery looking, and it's just so cool to look at. So I'm going to pull in a couple of things here. I'm going to be using the deckled rectangles dies. I'm also going to be using which I can't even believe I am saying this, and I might have to just buy them all myself because I love them so much, are the Tea Boutique cards and envelopes. They're the 2022 to 24 in colors. I only have 4 of them here because I've used them so much. But you get 4 each of the 5 colors for 20 cards and envelopes. The cards already have some nice, beautifully designs on them for your card front. The envelopes are nice and sturdy and have beautiful designs on them. You get 20 cards and envelopes for $10. But guess what? Starting April 4th is the last chance sale, which the links are below. And this is going to be 60% off. Do you know these Tea Boutique cards and envelopes went out of stock one time during when they first came out? At 60% off, they're going to fly out. So you need to be ready on April 4th to just go on and buy these. I'm going to buy them. And so I hope you beat me because they are just fabulous. So I'm going to use those today to create a couple of cards. And yeah, now we also for this need aqua painters. They're water painters, excuse me. We've renamed them. The water painters come in a package of 3. You love to have this package of 3 because when you watercolor, you have different purposes. So there's the large flat brush, which is perfect for watercolor washes. There's a medium brush and a small, and I'm going to pull out these 2 because I'm using 2 different colors, and I don't want to have to keep rinsing out and washing my my brush there. So now I've already cut out the deckled rectangle that we're using for the flowers because I would have used my large standard size Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine that I don't keep right here. And so I'm not. Oh, I want to bring this back in that we just did because we're going to do a little watercoloring. With this process, I am using thick basic white cardstock. Thick basic white will hold up much better when you are using anything liquid with it. All right, so I lightly inked up my stamp. I'm going to take my water painter and squeeze until I get that liquid to the bottom, but I'm not going to do any squeezing or anything on my stamped image, inked up image here. Now remember, I'm not doing this for distinctiveness now. I am doing this for watercoloring. I want it to look washy. Now I'm going to just come in and I'm going to just stipple onto, and I do need a little more wet, so I'm going to go off and squeeze. I guess what I'm doing is I'm kind of taking the ink away a bit in some spots with the watercolor here, and now I'm going to lightly just stamp and pull it up. And now do you see how I've kind of got it looking very watercolory? That's going to be a great, great image. Now, what about using a Stampin' Up! Spritzer? People use the spritzers a lot to do a watercolor look. That's great. Spritzers are great for that if you have kind of just that large open flowers or leaves or things like that. What happens with the distinctive stamp is that there's not a lot of deep cuts into it for that water to go to. So I will show you what happens. I'm going to ink up lightly on my stamp pad as always. Then let's bring the spritzer in and make sure you have the spritzer circle there where it's supposed to be. And I'm going to give this a couple of spritzes. Then I'm going to come in and stamp down and pull up. And look what I've done here. It all just kind of blobs and goes over the surface of that photopolymer because there's very, very fine depth of etching and things on a distinctive stamp set. So we are not going to use our spritzer. Love them for many reasons. But for this, water painters will be best. Okay? So let's go ahead and see what happens when I do the same thing with the stems. Remember, the stems really have those nice distinctive lines just already in them, and so watercoloring them hopefully will give us just even more of that. So now this is where I'm bringing in my other water painter, and you can see this one, the tip is smaller. So then I'm just going to come in and I'm going to just stipple along. Get a little wet here again. Just stipple on it. And then let's see what we have. And we shall see. Lightly pressing, I don't want to mush it. Ooh, it looks like a tiger lily. No, look at that. I've gotten even much more. Looks like we're sparkling. That is really cool. All right, I love it. Okay, let's get on to making our projects today. I'm doing 2 cards today. Just want to use 2 of the cards and envelopes. Now, I usually would stamp first and then die cut out, but again, I just didn't want to bring my big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine over, but that's okay. I can figure out. So I go ahead and I've just got that wet, and I'm just going to come and do a little stippling. Because when you do that, you pull some of the ink off, you might want to squeeze it out over on a mat and then come back. There we go. Let's see how we did. Not pushing down real hard. Oh, that came out so pretty. The color doesn't show quite on my view as a nice parakeet party color. Shows more of a darker, earthier color. Let's set that one aside. I'm just going to wipe this off really good. Okay, going to come in and lightly inking. Patty, patty, pat. Patty, patty, pat, pat, pat. I my time, tap, tap, tap. I'm going to come over here and really wet my brush here to get some of that old color off that I was using earlier. You just squeeze it out to wash your brush. The water squeezes through. There we go. So that's nice and wet. I'm going to come in now and start dabbing. Now you can dab as much as you want. The more you dab, the more of the color you kind of take away and give a little of that cloudy look. And that's what I'm going for. I want a real kind of cloudy, and taking a distinctive stamp and taking the distinctive away. Does that make sense? Who in their mind would do this? And then I'm going to just lightly press, hardly at all. Just let that water soak to that thick basic white. And ooh, that's fun. So I have some areas here where it's almost that I didn't put enough pushing on my stamp pad, but then a nice little cloudiness there. That came out really cute. I like it. So let's go ahead and close that up. Let's bring in our cards and envelopes with the Orchid Oasis that we're going to do for this one. You will definitely get wet, and you will definitely have issues. So make sure you turn things over and you don't let that wet become a problem. So then I have my Orchid Oasis base here, and this is going to come here. I want to bring in this beautiful ribbon. This is the 2022-24 metallic woven ribbon. I love these because they are so thin. They will be in the new catalog, which is great, and their price will still be $9. But I'm also bringing in the white frayed 3/8 ribbon that is retiring, and it is going to be, you guys look at this, 50% off starting April 4th. 50% off. This will go like crazy, but what's really nice about this is it's just going to give me a little something else on my card today. All right, so I'm going to use dimensionals for this piece. Yes, definitely check out the retiring clearance for the January to April and the current annual catalog. For all of those sales and discounts, up to 60% off is just amazing. Now, this is called a frayed ribbon because you can fray your ends. You could actually pull these apart and just separate them out. There we go. Just going to take it and have it run along the bottom here, bottom quarter. Just like that. Let it be a little over the edge, just a little bit here. That's okay if it is. That's the idea of it. Just a little roughness. And then this is going to come in just like so. Now I'm going to bring in a little extra white cardstock here. And let's see. Faith is about trusting. Happiness grows within. Hang in there. A friend is all kind of wonderful. I love them all. Happiness grows within. And I'm going to grab my white. And let's grab a strip here. Bring in that Orchid Oasis. So our happiness grows within. It's such a great color. Now the question is, if you look at our deckled rectangles, this is the smallest one here. So I'm going to pull in my stylish shapes, and I'm going to bring in like I think it's my favorite one of all of the dies, this one right here. I seem to use it all the time. Let's grab our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and ooh, boho blue. Remember how Stampin' Up had this beautiful boho blue as a promotion for joining? You know, it was kind of a sneak peek of something, right? It had to be, right? Well, Stampin' Up has gone through a color refresh. They are retiring 11 colors, current colors. 11, that is not including the in colors that are going out, by the way. Yeah. Now my mini Stampin' Cutting machine, my plates are offset so that it will easily roll right through. Offset plates make a happy machine with the mini. Yes, so 11 colors retiring. Oof. That's, again, you can find that in the retiring lists that are linked in the video. I do want to let you know that those will go out like crazy. In fact, some of them are already starting to run out. So, yikes. So now I'm going to bring in this beautiful, I love this. This ribbon is so sparkly and pretty, but if it was a really thick ribbon, it would be too much, right? It would be too much bling. But this thin ribbon just ties so easily. It's just so great. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to keep these long here for a minute, because this is just going to kind of go just like that right there with a little glue dot. I need a little glue dot. Well, my little glue dots, no bueno. Okay. There we go. Don't know where my mini glue dots went. And then this little guy is just going to come right on top. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's see which way. Make that bow a little bit bigger there. Okay. That's also going to go on dimensionals. Right there. Right like that. I like the cleanness of this card. So pretty. So pretty. All right, not done yet. Going to do watercoloring a little bit more, but this time we are going to change colors. I am going to bring in my favorite color. My favorite color is Sweet Sorbet. It is, again, the 22-24 in color. There's just something about this color that's just so fabulous. Now, I do need to clean my branches here, because we don't want any of that color getting down in there and giving us some strange colors. You will get ink all over you in this process, just so you know. Now I'm going to set this right in here because I don't want it to get lost. Okay. Now in this, there's this beautiful branch right here. And if you look in the dies, it's right here as well. You also have a branch builder right here, meaning that there's not a stamp, but the die just, you can do colored cardstocks, and you can see there already are the veins of the leaves and everything, so that when you do die cut that out in cardstock, it has dimension. It has not just an outline of that. You also see in your dies the wisterias here and the things there. There's this fun one right here too. All right. I'm actually going to be using our dies, and so we'll keep that there. All right. Let's bring this in. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be stamping my wisteria, but then I'm going to be doing them again, and those will be die cut out. And I'm doing that here. Well, what's really interesting is they're not wisteria. Well, wisteria can be lots of colors, right? Because I'm having it be this color right here. But I'm going to have them kind of come off, and just going to lightly stamp now. And there you can see that distinctiveness where some of it's much lighter, deeper, darker. Very nice. I love that color. Oh, I love that color. So now I need to bring my white back in, because I'm going to be stamping and watercoloring it and then die cutting it out. So let's go ahead and just rip a piece off, because this will need to be going through my mini machine. So let's go ahead and ink it up lightly. Now I'm going to bring in my water painter, but I need to make sure that my water painter is not going to have all the purple on it. So I'm just going to go here until it's run out and I'm not seeing my purple anymore. That's good enough. You will find as you use your water painters, if you squeeze and have a bunch of ink and then let go, that ink will, tries not to, but it can get up in your barrel. Now I'm going to do a little inking on this again because I might have wiped it with my sleeve. All right. So let's get that water down there. Come on, down you go. There you are. Let's do our dabbing. Our dab, 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 dab. And now our stamp. Ooh, I love it. Look at that. Looks great. Okay, let's set that aside. Let's bring in the other stamp that I need. We're going to be stamping with this one now, because these flowers are going to be hanging on this card. So we'll remove these, put this one on, and we're going to do that same technique with this on here. So I'm going to ink it up, but now I'm going to just stamp this off, you guys. I haven't used this before. This one, and so I want to just make sure I don't have anything on it, no residues. Okay, so ink it up nicely. Let's bring in the green water painter. Make sure we got good liquid, and come in and dab away. And then let's go ahead and stamp that lightly. Oh, I love that. Love that look. Okay, now let's die cut those out. And we're ready to put this card together. Boho Blue. Such an interesting blue if you really have a chance to see this machine, or if you have the machine. Now, when you are using a mini, you've got to make sure you don't have any excess that you're not supposed to have, that it can go through. And we'll get our little Wisterias, and then I will get this one out. The other thing about Stampin' Up's retiring products that's always interesting is anything like this Wisteria Bundle, although it is retiring, so this isn't a good example. But any of the current bundles, if they are carrying over into the new annual catalog, like the January to April products, the annual catalog from one to the next, they will no longer be at a bundled 10% discount. That's something that happens every year. So I would suggest, if you are been thinking about something, for example, I will tell you, for me, the Chic Textures, I think that's what it's called, Chic Textures. It's a bundle in the current annual catalog. I've been thinking about it. It's not something that I have gotten yet, but it is carrying over into the new annual catalog. And that's great, except it's not going to be in its bundled 10% discount. So I would have to purchase each of them separately, the stamp set and then the dies, to coordinate. And then that would cost me 10% more if I just got it during the month of April, because I think I'm going to get it. So why not get it at the bundled price, right? Okay. Now, if you're wondering why in the dies there's always these holes, it's so when you have stems like this, you can see through those holes and know that you're right on where you're supposed to be. I kind of wondered one time about that, and I'm like, oh, of course. If you see the color through that hole, you know you have it lined up right. Tip of the day, I guess. Okay, I have my wisteria, or my beautiful flowers. I have the stem. Now I'm ready to bring over my card here. This is the Sweet Sorbet base. I love it. Notice I have another deckled rectangle. Oh, hello, my deckled rectangle. And that's helping me right here know where this is going to go. And I like when I lift something with dimensionals and I have it, I like that it's, you can kind of see underneath, right? It's not just this flat thing, so it gives it that depth. And then I'm going to take a little piece, put it here, and another little piece, put it there, and maybe another little piece for this one. All right, so I'm going to put this here. One thing I might do, I'd like to give a little bit more texture. And that's the one thing here in Wisteria Wonder that's kind of a neat thing here is you have your floral here. Then there's this one here that actually could be a second stamp that you do right on here, like as a two-step stamping. So that's going to go just like that. Now this, as you can see, is going to be coming just like that, right? But I'm going to have this part raised up. That part raised up right there. All right. And then this here is not going to be raised up. I'm going to take just a little of my glue. If you have your liquid glue, if you have a way to store it up like that, you will always have that glue right at the tips of your fingers. And you see how it's kind of coming over like so? I love that. All right. Now, I am going to see if this hang in there stamp, I don't think it will. No, but that's okay because I have a plan. Now remember this, I'm going to bring this in again. This time though, I'm going to be a little strategic. I'm going to cut a little bit here and another little bit here. Because I have that large rectangle, I don't need it to go all the way across. I could have even done smaller. It's a way to save your ribbon. Why put it underneath something that's not going to show, right? That's what I say. There we go. Now I am going to bring in the green. Yeah. So I'm going to grab this. No. Do I want the large? No, I'm going to use the small here. Okay, so I'm going to do a little something. I want to have a little bit more color going on here. So I'm going to get my water painter really, really wet. And then I'm just going to kind of come in, give a little bit of a shadow kind of happening. This, you got to really make sure your brush is really wet for this, because you don't want it to look streaky. Just want to give a little shadow in here, in there. You see that little shadow that's happening? It'll come out more. Just getting that shadow down in there. There we go. We have a little shadow there. Then, I don't have to wipe that out. It's okay, but I'm going to. Let's bring in the Sweet Sorbet. Now, you can usually get some ink by squeezing your pad. And I'm going to squeeze. Sweet Sorbet is pretty dark, so you want to make sure, woo, it's running away too, that you get really super wet. To bring some of that really wet. It needs to be really, really wet. Really wet. Oh, there we go. My goodness, that brings a little something. Okay, so now that I've done that, we just need our sentiment on this card. Maybe we need a little bit of a blingy bling bling. said we were going to use that hang in there. I have a little white right here. That is all tore up. We're going to use our Sweet Sorbet. Oh, my favorite color. Favorite color. Hang in there. Very super sweet. Now, this is just going to come in and get trimmed with the trimmer. Trim there. Trim there. Trim there. And then I will trim the rest because I like to give a little notch. Or a little angle right now. Yeah, the other thing that's bothering me is that it's close to the top, but not as close at the bottom. Hand trimming does not come out very well. That looks pretty good. And that is going to slip right in there. I love it. Hang in there. And then I'm going to do Faith is About Trusting. I didn't put something on the inside of the other one. So again, April 4th is the last chance clearance sale. You can order anything right now, especially if it's not on sale and you're worried about it going out before you get a chance. I would suggest doing that. You can always order again on the 4th. I have a new host code there for you. So that's the hang in there. And then I'm sorry, but we need a little something something. Hello. This is the Sweet Sorbet. Beautiful. Love it. If I do a little something and I put it like up right in on this end here, is that going to look silly? No, I don't think so. I like it. So let's try it. Just try and see. Excuse me. I've had a cold. And I'm finally getting better. Well, that's sweet. Very nice. All right, let's take a look at our two cards here. That one and this one. Happiness Grows Within. Nice. All right, well, there we are. Beautiful Wisteria Wonder, taking a distinctive stamp set, learning how to use that in its original intent. Not too much ink, not too much pressure. And then taking that same distinctive stamp set and doing a watercolor look to them, I think turned out very, very pretty. Very, very nice. Don't forget, we've got some fabulous last chance sales on, the embellishments. Go crazy. The amount of sales going on those. And the Tea Boutique cards and envelopes, I'm telling you, 60% off. They will be snatched up in no time. Check out the links below. Be sure you follow me, Instagram, Facebook. Again, Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I'd love to have you along for the creative ride. And until next time, happy stamping.